and welcome to another video from Crosswalk Test Prep and Tutoring. Today's video, I briefly want to address the decision between going for the SAT or going for the ACT. And what we'll do in this video is a very brief overview to get you a sense of what's best for you. Now, before we even get into this, let's understand that all colleges will accept either the SAT or ACT score, right? Let's make sure that's clear. Either test is fine. Now, assuming you're going to a test blind school, you don't have to worry about that, right? If you're only interested in test blind schools, like here in California, the UCs and the CSUs, turn off this video, move along, go scroll through your other feeds. However, if you're thinking about schools that are requiring the test or even test optional, it's crucial that you go through this process of saying, okay, what's the best test for me? Is it SAT or is it ACT? Now, 80 to 90% of the whole testing experience is about the same. The strategies are about the same, but there are some significant differences that you should consider and drive your test prep process. First of all, how is the test set up? The SAT is essentially two big sections divided into smaller subsections. So the two big sections are the verbal section and the math section. The verbal section has two sections, and that is the reading, and you start with that in the test, and then you do writing and language. Then you transition to the second bigger section, but that's also two subsections. It's a math section in which you're not allowed to use a calculator, and it's a math section in which you can use a calculator. So overall, 4 sections. Half of the whole testing experience is math. ACT, on the other hand, ACT is 4 sections. You start with the English, you then go into the math, then you have a reading section, and then you have a science section. So in this scenario, math is only one of the 4 sections. So think about it that way, right? If you are more math inclined, well, the SAT, half of the test is math. You might do SAT. Let's take that a step further and look at how the test is scored. Well, the SAT, what the scoring is a sum of the 2 sections for your overall score. In other words, your total verbal score plus your total math score gets your overall SAT score. The ACT, on the other hand, is the average of your 4 scores. So your English score plus your math score plus your reading score plus your science score divided by 4 is your overall ACT score. So in that sense, math is, again, 1/4 of it, but if you are less inclined in math and you have a lower math score, well, your reading, your science, and your English can raise that overall score. So that's kind of that first cut. Like if you are more inclined in math, SAT is probably better for you. If you are less inclined in math, ACT is probably better for you. Now, another key difference is the setup of the test. And this is a very broad stroke. It's a very general kind of framework to think about. But in general, the ACT has more questions with less time per question, whereas the SAT has fewer questions and more time per question. So you have to ask yourself, are you a fast worker? Well, fast worker, ACT might be for you. Are you a slower worker? SAT might be for you. And here's the little wrinkle that I like to talk to my students about. Because the ACT asks you to move faster per question, the questions tend to be a little bit easier than the SAT. In general, overall, we could talk about little details here, but in general and overall, the ACT is a little bit easier in the question. Again, assuming you're a fast mover, assuming you can get to those. So let's break it all down. If you are more math inclined and you are a slow worker, SAT is probably for you. If you are less math inclined and you are a fast worker, ACT is probably for you. Either way, go through the process, make sure you take practice tests of both, score them, see which one yields a score that's closer to the goal score that you want, and work on that. And that's it. That's basically it. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Brooke Higgins of Crosswalk Test Prep and Tutoring, and we'll see you in the next one.